Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Maitreya Uvacha. Unam Nirvishesho Pratishtita. Urushattat Upadanam. Mahanam Nirayatsvati. Translation. The same Maitreya said, time is undifferentiated and it has no beginning and end. It appears under the form of transformation of material phenomenon. By creating the time as the material calls, the Lord creates this universe by His own will. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that the Lord created the universe, which is not different from Himself, since it is a result of His energy, and in it the time acts as the efficient cause. The time is without qualities, without beginning and without end. Because of time, the creation and destruction takes place. Kanam jalam shakayo Shakshu Meditam Jenam Tasme Shivravya Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini. Namaste Sarasvati Deve Kauravani Prachaline Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Prachatyavadeshatarine. Vanchakalpatarubhyacham Kripa Sindhubhyayavacham Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namo. Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Kala, the time. It's one of the main subjects of Bhagavad Gita, one of the 5 subjects of Bhagavad Gita. In the transcendental world, there also is a conception of time, but which is eternal. Because without the concept of time, we can't have the concept of action. When the sun is rising, people start to move and to act. When the sun is setting, people sleep. In Vedic society, that's the way it is. That's why in Krishna's pastimes, in Madhurya Ras, darkness is not given to sleep, but it's calling the gopis to a powerful feeling that they will meet Krishna in this darkness. This darkness is like a messenger, it is explained. And the light in the houses makes the darkness even more dark. Because when we see the light, then we see even less in the dark. That's why this light is also an Odipan. It is an ingredient which increases the ocean of love of the gopis. There's also the chanting of the insects in the night, and so many things
pour
to
protéger leurs sentiments
protect
et
their
pour les
feeling
appeler à rencontrer Krishna.
and to call them to meet
Donc
Krishna.
ça, c'est la nature du temps à Vraj.
So that's the nature of time in
Ça,
Braj.
on dit Astakalila.
We say
Que les
Astakalila.
divertissements
The
en fait, de
pastimes
Krishna,
of
ils
Krishna
sont
are
divisés en
divided
8
in 8
sections ou en
sections
64 sections.
or 64 sections.
Différentes possibilités.
Different possibilities
Et dans
are
ce
given.
cadre, en fait,
And in this frame
les horaires de divertissement
of
Krishna,
the
alors Radha et Krishna
time of
accomplissent
Krishna's
différentes
pastimes, Krishna and Radha, they accomplish different activities in the same way where we are
et à telle heure on doit faire ça, à telle heure on doit faire ça.
in the middle of Krishna.
C'est une âme conditionnée et une âme réalisée.
When
C'est qu'une âme réalisée,
the difference between a conditioned soul and a realized soul is that liberated soul is called at some time to serve Krishna, and the conditioned soul is called at some time at a time to do her duty, and the conditioned soul is completely devoted to this family, this illusory position, and liberated soul is completely dedicated to Krishna, to the transcendence, to Krishna's service. So that's how you can understand if you are liberated or conditioned, because when you are liberated, then you are dedicated to transcendence. So how do you come from one to another? Krishna comes in this material world and manifests his mercy with his associates. And even if there is a condition of time in material energy, it doesn't touch the pastimes of the Lord. It's melting into it. That's very mystical. He uses the time to manifest his lilas, which are not subjected to time and which are completely transcendental. Only Krishna can do this. And so, Krishna, when he comes in this material world through his abode, even when he lives, he surrounds his devotees. In fact, Braj is Krishna. When you live in Braj, you're surrounded by Krishna. When you live in the material world, you're surrounded by Maya, illusion. That's why there are temples everywhere in Braj. That's why everybody is singing Radhe. Because when you live in Braj, it's the word of Krishna. Even if Krishna is gone, even if you removed everything, it's the word of Krishna, and the temple is the same. That's why we consider devotees also like Krishna. It's not different. Why? Because in fact, where the glories of Krishna are sung, where the devotees are present, Krishna is present. That's his abode. So when we live in a temple, we live surrounded by Krishna, and as soon as we leave from the temple, it is Maya, because we don't have the power by ourselves to make Krishna to embrace us. He's embracing us by the love we feel for him. When we are surrendered, then he embraces us. And there's this principle of love. Simply by love, Krishna can be reached. That's why Vraj is a word of love. And when you live in Vraj, you live being embraced by Krishna. So live in the temple is with this consciousness. Otherwise, we don't live in the temple. And so we feel bad to be in the temple, because if we don't want Krishna, then it's not easy to live in the temple. Those who don't want to live in the temple, it's difficult. They will spend some day, some months in the temple, or it will be such enormous purification, and it's hell, because you live in the world of Krishna, but you don't want to be with him. Just as if you invited someone in your house, but you don't want to be with him. You understand? That's why live in a temple means to want to live with Krishna, want to live for Krishna. Otherwise, you suffer. You can even be depressed.
Là où Krishna est, là où tout est
Where
manifesté,
Krishna
vous êtes heureux.
is and where everything is manifested, you are unhappy.
Ça, c'est l'infortune.
That's unfortunate.
Et l'infortune, elle peut être enlevée.
But this can be removed
En s'associant avec le Vaishnava.
by the association of the Vaishnavas that Krishna loves.
Parce que dès qu'on a
Because
associé
as
avec le
soon
Vaishnava,
as we are
on sent que Krishna
associated with the Vaishnava that Krishna loves, we feel that we are loved. It's a principle. That's why
un matérialiste, il ne donne
we
pas
need-
cette trame de Krishna, il donne l'oubli de Krishna.
we need to be
Quand
associated.
vous
A
vous
materialist
associez toute la journée avec des matérialistes, ça vous
who
donne
is
l'oubli de
forgetting Krishna, it gives you forgetfulness of
Krishna.
Krishna.
Pourquoi l'association, c'est extrêmement
That's why association is very
Et ça
important.
contamine ou ça purifie.
And it
C'est ce
contaminates
que nos
or
acharyas
it purifies.
expliquent. C'est une science,
That's what
vraiment.
our
C'est pas
acharya
un
explains.
concept
That's a
religieux.
science. That's not a
C'est
religious
vraiment,
concept.
voilà.
That's
Si vous
really,
n'êtes pas assez associé,
if you are
vous
not
ne pouvez pas progresser.
enough
Vos désirs
associated, you
matériels,
cannot
vos
progress.
illusions, le reste.
Your
Vous pensez,
desire,
je suis
material
une mère,
desires,
je suis un
your
père,
illusion
je suis un
stays.
mari, je suis
You
une
think,
femme,
I'm
etc.,
a mother, I'm a
etc.
father,
Toutes
I'm
les
a wife, I'm a
conceptions matérielles
husband.
vont
All
être
the material
l'identification avec le
conception
corps. Vous ne pourrez
will
pas
be with the identification with the
vous
body.
faire embrasser par
And
Krishna.
you won't be embraced by Krishna.
Comment Krishna nous attrape
How does Krishna
quand on lui
embraces
donne
us?
notre vie.
When we give him our life.
Une fois qu'on lui donne notre
Once we
vie,
give
ma vie
him our
m'appartient plus.
life, my life is not mine
Elle est à
anymore,
toi.
it's
Comme ça.
yours.
Vous
Like
donnez
this,
votre cœur.
you give
Tu
your
leur fais ce que
heart.
t'en veux.
You do
À
whatever
ce
you want
moment-là,
with
Krishna
it.
prend soin de vous.
At that time, Krishna takes care of us.
Avant, vous
Before,
c'est vous qui vous débrouillez avec votre vie. C'est du
You
karma.
just do your thing with your life. It's the
Vous
karma.
faites votre shopping.
You do your
Je vais
shopping.
faire ça.
I will
puis
do
je vais faire
this,
ça,
and then I'll do
puis je vais faire
that,
ça.
and
Vous
then
êtes
I'll do
indépendant.
this. You're
Vous ne pouvez
independent.
pas vivre chez Krishna.
You can't live at Krishna's home.
Vous êtes indépendant.
You're
Vous vivez dans
independent.
votre royaume.
You live in your
Vous avez
kingdom.
décidé, bah,
You
je donne
decided,
ça,
oh, I
ça,
give
je garde
this,
ça,
I keep
ça, je suis
this.
pas encore prêt.
I'm not
Ça,
ready
ça
for
marche
this
pas comme
yet,
ça.
but it doesn't work like
Krishna
this.
ne peut pas vous étreindre.
Krishna cannot embrace you.
Krishna, il étreint que les
Krishna
personnes
embraces
qui sont
only
abandonnées,
people who are
Sharanagati.
surrendered.
Bhaktivinoda
Sharanagati.
Thakur, c'est ça,
Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained
dans ses
this
poèmes.
in his
Krishna, il
poem.
entend les prières d'une
Krishna
personne qui est
hears
abandonnée.
the poem of a
Alors,
person
est-ce que
who is
ça veut dire
surrendered.
qu'il n'entend
Does
pas
it
les
mean
autres?
that he doesn't
Quand on
hear
parle de
others?
Krishna,
When we
on parle
talk about Krishna, we
de la
talk
personne originelle
about
qui
the
vient vous
original
étrapper.
personality who comes to
Il y a aussi le
embrace
plan du
and to
paradis,
love
l'âme
you.
suprême. L'âme
There's
suprême,
also the Supreme Soul. The Supreme Soul hears, but it's neutral. He is neutral.
vous êtes
He won't come to embrace you. He will reciprocate
votre
with
abandon, votre
your
connaissance,
surrender,
votre dévotion.
your knowledge, your devotion.
Mais vous n'allez pas pouvoir voir
But you
le
won't
visage de
be
Krishna.
able to see the beautiful face of Krishna. It's not possible.
Parce que quand vous
Because
chantez,
when you chant,
quand on chante, il faut se mettre dedans.
when we
Pas de
chant,
pleurs.
we have to put
désir.
ourselves in this too.
Notre
There's no
désir,
cry, there's
il est
no
avec d'autres
desire.
personnages.
Our desire is with other persons.
On est personnel
We are
avec un
personal
fils,
with
on est
a
personnel
son,
avec un époux,
with
mais
a
avec le
husband,
chantant,
but not with the
pas de
chanting.
relation.
There's
On
no
veut pas de
relation.
relation.
We don't want
Et
relation.
même, on va même pleurer parce qu'on n'a pas envie
And
de
we-
relation avec quelqu'un d'autre. Ça, c'est la
We
folie.
will even cry because we want a relation
Krishna vient
with
sous la
someone
forme du
else.
Saint-Nom, il vient sous la
That's
forme du temple, il nous donne tout.
madness. Krishna comes
finalité, c'est qu'on va pleurer pour avoir autre chose.
as the temple, as the chanting, as everything, and we cry for something else. I want Maya.
Je veux
I want
de
Maya.
nouveau m'identifier au
I
corps.
want to be identified with the body again.
Et Krishna, il
And
pleure.
Krishna cries.
Je fais tout pour eux.
I do
Ils veulent
everything
encore
for
se
them,
détourner de moi.
and they still want
C'est
to
ça
turn
notre
away from
condition
me.
aujourd'hui.
That's our
Krishna nous a
condition
tout donné,
today. Krishna
donc
gave us
juste la tête,
everything,
toute la journée,
but
la
we
tronche,
are
on est jamais
just
content. Il nous donne tout. On a incapable
feeling bad
de
all
voir
the day.
ce qu'il nous donne.
We making
Ça,
a
c'est notre résultat en ce moment.
sad face, but he gave us everything. This
Aucun
is
enthousiasme.
the result now.
Pourquoi?
No
Parce qu'on est
enthusiasm.
attaché.
Why? Because we are attached to matter
Et on vient de ce monde.
and to the relation in this world, which are temporary and illusory.
Ils vont tout disparaître avec la mort.
Everything
On est en train
will
de
disappear
faire.
with death.
Il
We
nous
are
reste quelques
losing
instants à vivre,
everything.
mais
We
bon,
just
c'est
have
plus
some moment
important
to live, but it's more
cette
important,
illusion que
this
notre
illusion,
réalité.
than our
C'est pour ça qu'on
reality.
progresse pas.
That's why we don't progress.
Si vous ne progressez pas,
If you
vous
don't
allez
progress,
stagner.
it's because this is in you.
Il y a deux choix.
There's two
Soit vous
choices.
cultivez votre
Or you
réalité,
cultivate
soit
your
vous
reality,
cultivez
or
votre
you
illusion.
cultivate
Il
your
ne peut pas
illusion.
avoir quelque chose au milieu.
There cannot be something in between.
Même Jésus, il dit, il n'y a pas
Even
maintenant ou
Jesus
Dieu.
says there's not
Il y
Manu
a
and
soit le
God,
mauvais, soit le bon.
or the good or
Vous n'avez
the
pas le choix.
bad.
Vous pouvez
You
pas
have
avoir
no
les deux.
choice. You cannot have both.
C'est pourquoi il faut passer du
That's
bon
why
côté.
we have to go
Et
on the
engager nos
good side
attachements.
and engage our
Mais il faut
attachments.
comprendre pourquoi on fait
But
ça.
understanding
Pour ceux
why
qui
we do
étudient.
this, that's why we have
S'il y
to
a des
study.
dévots qui n'étudient pas,
Here there are devotees who doesn't study and they don't
Ils savent pas
understand
ce qu'ils font.
anything. They don't know what they do. They
Ils
suffer
tolèrent.
and they tolerate
sans comprendre qu'est-ce qu'il
without
faut faire
understanding what they have
pour
to do
avoir la joie.
to have joy.
C'est balèze quand même.
That's
Il faut une sacrée idiotie quand même.
we need to be very foolish to do this.
C'est comme l'animal.
It's like an
L'animal, il prend
animal.
des coups, il
Animal
cherche pas à comprendre.
is being beaten, but he doesn't understand. He doesn't try to understand.
Il prend des coups, ouais.
He's being
Il n'y a pas de
kicked,
solution.
but there's no
C'est
solution.
pourquoi on doit étudier.
That's why you have to study.
Quand on étudie,
When we study,
on nourrit l'intelligence.
we are feeding
Et on peut
intelligence,
dépasser toutes les conceptions.
and we can go over all conceptions we
Parce
can
que
make, which
c'est
makes
comme un
us
but.
suffer, because it's like a goal.
On a un but.
We have a goal.
Sans but,
Without
on est
goal,
comme ça. On fait des activités.
we are like
tous les
this,
jours.
and we do
On en prend
activities
plein.
every
Et
day.
puis,
We
on revient même.
so many things are coming
Mais tu
to
m'aimes
us,
pas, mais tu m'aimes pas.
and we come
On
back.
n'a aucun goût dans cette
And
relation-là,
we-
ça nous a rien apporté et on revient en
We
arrière.
say we have no
C'est
taste in
fort.
the relation.
Maya est
It
forte.
brought us everything, but we come
On
back.
essaye de recommencer.
We
alors
try
ça
to
va
start
donner.
again where
Et vie
when
après
it
vie, on
gave
fait ça.
us
Vie après
nothing,
vie.
and we do this life after
C'est pas
life
une
after
vie,
life.
c'est des millions de vies.
It's not one life; it's thousands of life,
On prend l'exemple
millions
d'un
of
pot.
life. It's
Quand
like
c'est
a pot.
brûlé, vous recuisinez dedans.
When it's
Le goût
burnt
de brûler est là.
and you cook again in it,
On
the
souffre
taste
dans
of
cette vie
burnt
de famille.
is
Tellement.
we
Et on en
suffer in
redemande
this
encore
family
et encore.
life, but we
On
ask
n'est
it
jamais
again and
lassé.
again and again. We don't ever have enough of it.
Jamais.
Never.
Vie après vie. Vie
Life
après
after
vie,
life
ça vient
after
nous
life,
chercher.
it comes back to us.
Pourquoi?
Why?
Parce qu'on a oublié.
Because we forgot
Notre vraie vie de famille,
our
notre
true
réalité de
family life in
On l'a
Raj,
oublié.
our
On
eternal
recommence.
reality. We
C'est le
start
piège.
again. It's
Et
the
du
trap.
coup,
And
on se
so
remet à cultiver cette
we start
illusion
to
et ce
cultivate
lien
this
illusoire.
illusion and this illusory relation. I love you, you love me.
Il y a aucun
I love you,
problème.
you love me. But there's no taste in it.
Prabhupada, il explique,
Prabhupada explains,
c'est- la vie sexuelle, c'est comme une démangeaison.
sex life is like
Là, par
itching,
exemple, j'ai la peau
itching.
une démange,
For example,
je
here
gratte,
there's my skin which is itching and
ça part.
I rub
C'est
it
juste
and
ça.
it's
Et
going
après, ça va revenir.
and
Ça
that's
va.
just this
Mais
and
ça
it
apporte pas de
after
bonheur
it
tant.
comes back and so
On
I
sent.
scratch again, but it doesn't
Et quand on se gratte, on s'identifie
bring,
au corps.
constant happiness. And when we scratch,
Alors,
we
bien
are
sûr,
strongly
tant qu'on est là,
identified
conditionné,
with
il y
the
a des
body.
pulsions, il y a plein de trucs,
Of
il y a
course,
plein de
when we are
trucs,
conditioned
on
soul,
comprend, tout ça.
there's pollutions, there's many things, so we have to engage it. That's
Et
why
c'est pourquoi
there
la
is
vie
wedding,
sexuelle
and
est
that's why
autorisée à
sex
travers
life
les
is
lois.
authorized through laws.
Mais
But
le point,
the
c'est de pouvoir
point
se
is
servir de
that we
notre
have to
situation
use our
pour se
situation
libérer.
to
Et
get
si notre
free.
situation, elle est
But
pas bonne,
if our situation is not good,
l'abandonner.
we have to give it up someday.
C'est le renoncement.
That's renouncement.
C'est pas parce qu'on est né dans une situation
It's
qu'on va la
not
garder tout le temps.
because we
Si elle
took
n'est pas
birth in a
favorable,
situation
parce
that
qu'on
we
peut
have
pas
to keep it
frapper Krishna
always.
et qu'elle
If it's not favorable
elle
because
nous transporte dans un attachement qui
it
nous
transports
qui nous
us in
permet
an
pas de nous
attachment
abandonner.
which doesn't allow
On
us
doit
to
l'abandonner.
surrender. We have
Ça
to
doit
give
être
it up.
notre objectif.
That must be our goal.
Je veux être conscient à
I
100%.
want to be conscious
C'est
100%.
notre objectif.
That's our goal.
Ça marche pas.
Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Il faut ouvrir les yeux.
We have to open
Quand
our
on a
eyes.
l'attachement pour Krishna, on
When
voit
there's
comment
attachment
on
for Krishna, we see how people suffer.
vit. Et on peut se dire, mais les
And we
dévots
can
souffrent, mais c'est
think
différent.
devotees, they
Parce que un
suffer.
dévot,
But
quand il
it's
souffre,
different because a devotee,
il
when
souffre pour
he suffers for Krishna.
Donc il devient cher.
So
à
he
Krishna.
becomes
Parce
dear
qu'il
to
reste
Krishna because he
pour
stays
Krishna.
for
Par
Krishna.
exemple,
For example,
je vais prendre
I will
l'exemple
take
de Gopal. Gopal,
the
il a
example
un
of Gopal. Gopal
Il
has
peut
a
très
job.
bien,
He
s'en
can
aller,
go
voir un petit peu à côté.
and
Et
take
ses
a
enfants,
home
ils vont voir.
in not far
Il
with
dit,
his
bon,
children.
voilà, je mets tant de côté. et
He
dans 6
can
mois,
say, I'm fed
on
up.
quitte le temps.
I take this amount of money and in 6 months I will leave the temple. He's independent.
Après, il y pense peut-être.
Maybe he thinks of it.
Donc là, pourquoi il aura un travail?
Otherwise, why would he have a job, for example? That's a security.
Donc, quand on est Griasta,
so when we are Griasta, we are on a platform where we have a safety. That's why we work, that's why Griasta must have money compared to a renounced, because the life of Griasta must be adapted to the wife, to the children. That's not so easy. It's not a flow to work, to have money when we are Griasta. It makes part of this life. But when we have money, we can change situation. When we don't, it's more difficult. When you surrendered everything and your head is itching and you say, oh, the temple, how will I do? But I have nothing. It's more difficult then, true or not. But if you have a job, you can make your plan. I will take this money each month and in 6 months I leave. So, but if you have a job and you don't leave, it means there's a sacrifice. So, when you see a devotee suffer, it's a sacrifice. It's not ordinary suffering, because materialist, he suffers for himself, whereas a devotee suffers for Krishna. Otherwise, he could not be there. It would not be possible. Is it already time? You understand this? So, for example, why do we have colors? Different kinds of colors. For example, for the men, at some point they are in white, and after they turn saffron. What does mean saffron or yellow for women? It means we are directed toward renouncement. We accept a color to detach, not to stay this way. If we are not ready to get detached, we cannot take it. If we take it, it's to go to 100% detachment. You understand? So the detachment is gradual, but it must be reached. Otherwise, this color doesn't mean anything. It's just cheating. If you wear it but you're still attached, it's cheating. So of course, in the principle of philosophy that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us, Mukta Vairagya, is that we engage things to preach, but to preach, to allow the being of this world to look like this and to give them eternal reality, because the devotee is not attached to the external aspect of life. He accepts a clothes to look like others, but his life, a true devotee, his life is away. He doesn't need to have this association or this thing. He just wants to love Krishna. If he accepts a clothes, it's to preach. That's renouncement. That's why some Vaishnavas, even we see Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, who was in an extreme renouncement. He had leather shoes, he had an English coat. When he invited a diplomat, they had plates with fork and everything. They were even eating on tables. He was rolling in car, driving in car. So there was renouncement, acceptation. But for Vaishnava, there is no limit. Once he belongs to Krishna, nothing disturbs him, nothing touches him. But if he wears clothes with some color, the goal is inside. You cannot accept a color if you don't decide to renounce.
Parfois, le monde
Otherwise,
spirituel, il voit
you-
quelque chose de supérieur en vous qui n'est pas
you
encore
cannot
apparu.
accept. Sometimes the spiritual master
Est-ce que vous êtes prêts?
sees something higher in you which is not here yet. Are you ready? Is it what you want to go back to Krishna and surrender everything?
Parce que sans abandon,
Because
on n'ira pas
without
loin.
surrender, there's no coming back.
On n'atteint pas Krishna
We don't reach Krishna
sans l'abandon.
without surrender.
Et l'abandon, c'est de l'amour.
And surrender
C'est
is
pas
love. It's not
un renoncement aride,
dry renouncement,
dur,
hard.
où je me prive de tout.
I'm
C'est pas ça le
Pri-
renoncement. Le renoncement,
deprived
c'est
of
que
everything.
j'accepte
That's
tout
not
ce que Krishna me
renouncement.
donne.
I accept everything that Krishna
Et dans
gives
ce
me.
renoncement-là,
And in
il y a
this
de l'amour.
renouncement, there's
C'est pour
joy.
ça que c'est facile.
That's why
de
it's
servir
easy,
de dévotion.
the devotional service.
Quand on mange un bon repas,
When you eat a
un
good
bon
meal
que Krishna a accepté, c'est
that
facile.
Krishna accepts,
Il n'y a rien de dur.
it's easy. There's nothing hard.
Chanter,
Chanting,
il n'y a rien de dur.
there's nothing
Servir,
hard.
il n'y a rien de dur.
Serve, there's nothing
Regardez
hard.
la vie des gens.
Look at the life of the people. That's so hard compared to this.
Aller
What they
travailler,
live,
c'est tellement
go to
difficile
work
d'aller
is so
rencontrer des gens
difficult
qu'on
to
n'a
go
pas
to
envie
meet
de vivre
people
avec eux,
we don't
qui
live
parlent
with
de
them.
n'importe
We don't
quoi.
want to live with them. They talk about anything but
Tout
Krishna.
ce qu'on aime, il n'y a rien.
There's nothing.
C'est tellement difficile.
That's so
Comment
difficult.
on peut trouver un goût
How can
là-dedans?
we find a
Faut
taste
vraiment
in this?
être loin de la
We
vie.
really have to be far from the
Vraiment,
truth.
vraiment loin.
Really, really far.
On doit se poser la question, est-ce que
We have
je suis prêt
to wonder, am I
à
ready
sortir de ça?
to get
J'ai
out
passé
from
toute ma
this
vie là-dedans.
when I've spent my
Est-ce qu'on
whole life in
comprend
this?
la valeur d'une
Do we
couleur?
understand the value of a color?
C'est très profond.
That's very deep.
Alors, Gandharvika,
So
est-ce que
Gandharvika,
tu es prêt?
are you ready?
J'espère.
I hope
Je
so.
vais dire, j'espère.
You should never say I
Ça
hope
fait
so.
plus de 12 ans, presque 13 ans que...
Allez. Eh bien, aujourd'hui, on va donner
So
la
today
couleur
we will give the yellow color to Gandharvika. So now Gandharvika is retired, and so she spends 3 days by week here, and gradually it will increase. Krishna will make arrangements so she can come to live in the temple, otherwise it has no substance. It's important.
Krishna, il te donne.
Krishna gives you,
Il te donne l'opportunité.
he gives you the
Les choses sont
opportunity.
graduelles, mais il faut les
Things are
atteindre.
gradual, but we have to reach
Et
it.
le renoncement,
But
ça veut pas
renouncement
dire
doesn't
rejeter
mean
les êtres
to
vivants.
reject
Ça veut dire
living
les voir
beings.
différemment.
It means to see them differently,
Aller voir à travers les
not to see them through
les voir
illusion,
à travers la
but see them
réalité.
through the reality, spiritual reality. Jai.
Et voilà, là maintenant.